So yes, so I know the NBA playoffs will start in like less than like 30 minutes. I record like 9:38 a.m. as of right now, and I gotta get this out really quick before the playoff starts, right? So yeah, I think the playoff officially starts at like 10 a.m. of Saturday. So yeah, the reason why I just got out this video, I didn't upload last night because I had to go to bed early. I was tired, and the playing in torn the playing game was still going on. Pelican versus Kings, and obviously the Pelican destroyed the Kings. Even though the Kings didn't make comeback, but and then the Heat absolutely dismantle the Bulls. Exposing the Bull, and I thought the Bulls gonna win, but that Eric Spoelstra is a very good coach, so you cannot underestimate this guy. I mean, very short-handed, and they still blew out the Bulls. Yeah, the Bulls are not going to be in the playoff. They don't look like a playoff team anyway, so it was, wrong of me of picking the Bulls. And then, the Kings, yeah, they were the third seed last year, and then they got eliminated, unfortunately, to the Pelicans. I think because the West got very tough, and yeah, so that's why, I could not be surprised the Kings didn't make it to the playoffs. So anyway, there's going to be 8 matchups in total, and I'm like, let me do a super short recap to make this video short. So the Western Conference looked really strong, and the East looks weak. For obviously, you already know the reason. I don't need to explain it again, but one of the biggest reason why the East looks so weak because of so much injuries, right? The East looked like very open, but whoever comes out of the West is going to win the championship. As a matter of fact, unless the West gets injured or something weird happens. So yeah, it's just the injuries, keep changing the results. Like I told you every single time. Yeah, because when it comes to injury, like the outcome will definitely be different. So it goes for everyone, even in individual as well. So yeah, that's just common sense, like everybody needs to stay 100% healthy if they want have a legitimate chance, and also to show who's a true champion, right? So in my opinion, let me talk about this matchup real quick. Oklahoma City versus Pelicans. So the Thunder's are number 1, right? Usually number 1's like the biggest threat in the NBA or any type of sport, but Thunders are actually the weakest number 1 seed in the NBA playoff. Everybody knows because they're too young. They didn't win to the playoff last year. They got eliminated by the Timberwolves or something like that. I don't remember the Thunders making a playoff last year. They got eliminated in the play-in, being 10 seed, and then they jumped all the way to number 1. I'm very proud of this Thunders team. Shouts Gilly Alexander, and also the whole team. This team is actually younger than me. Besides, I look young too, so yeah, and they're playing against the Pelicans without Zion Williamson. So what I got right there. So the Thunder versus Pelicans. So obviously this is a young and experienced team, and then the Pelicans, they just barely got to the 8th seed. So I would say Thunder in 5 or 6 game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pelicans take them to like game 7, but I got the Thunders in 6. So despite how well they play, but they play so well in the regular season. They might be a regular season team, do the experience stuff, but when it comes to playoff, then everything's just different. So I give the Thunder 6 games. So this video is supposed to be the first round of the NBA playoff, right? The reason why I don't make second round because based on my prediction, it may not come out correct, right? Just like yesterday I got 2 of the team totally wrong. I expect the Bulls and Kings to take a win, but they didn't even win yesterday. They all lost, all the team I predicted, right? So once one of the matchup, and then once the second round begins, then I'll start talking about matchup, because before I get into all the prediction for all the teams and matchups. some teams are gonna get eliminated early, and some team may stay into Game 7. So obviously the matchup's gonna start different time for the second round and third round, right? That's just how the playoff works, right? Some teams are gonna get sweep, and some teams are gonna fight till like Game 7. So yeah, Game 7 is always fun to watch, but watching the series in force is like boring and stuff. Yeah, the team has just have a lot of problem, blowouts, and all that crazy stuff, right? So anyway, I'm gonna go and talk about the Clippers versus the Mavericks. Now, this is gonna be a much watch series. Everybody talks about like the Dallas are gonna, I think the Clippers are gonna be out in the first round, because I know that the Clippers look super stacked, but they don't have Kawhi Leonard. They're in trouble. So okay, if Kawhi comes back, then maybe the Clipper can make a series, but I don't think they can beat the Mavericks, because the Clipper own the Mavericks, but not this time, because Luka got extra help. He got Kyrie Irving, and Dallas make like huge trade here and there, and I heard that they look a very dangerous team, but I don't think the Mavericks gonna sweep the Clippers, even if Kawhi is out. So yeah, I say like the Mavericks in 5, but if Kawhi comes back, then maybe it'll go to 6, but possibly 7, but I don't think 7. So Mavericks might, if the Clippers are not healthy, then maybe they go home in 5. I say Mavericks in 5, but depending on the health stuff, so maybe it'll go to either 6. And also, we gotta watch out for the referees too, right? So anyway, let me go with not much to say there. Clippers are always a pretender. Everybody knows that. I never seen the Clipper, advance, out of the second round. Not every since 2021. That was the lucky year, where every team is injured, right? So yeah, I know. And also, we have to talk about James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. No, James Harden is a big problem, because James Harden always chokes in the playoff. Like, the Clippers got players that always choke in the playoffs, so that's why I do not trust this team to get out of the first round. I do not trust the Clippers at all. So yeah, James Harden is just, he doesn't perform well in the playoffs. We all know who James Harden is, right? So, and then you got the Timberwolves versus the Phoenix Suns. Both teams are just a pretender. They're not a threat, right? So this is kind of like iffy one, but either the Timberwolves or Suns have a 50% chance. So yeah, they're both 50-50. So I got either Timberwolves in 7 or Suns in 7. But yeah, this series can go to, I think this series has to be at least 6 games, so that's questionable. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Suns take this one or the Timberwolves take this one. And I know that Rudy Gobert is an overrated defender. I've been looking him for the past few years, and Devin Booker, Kevin Durant is not the same player he was in Warriors. So the Suns got a defense problem. Then and then the Suns pretty much match up well versus Timberwolves. Anthony, you got Anthony Edwards, and Rudy Gobert, and Karl-Anthony Towns injured, but it just depends there. And then let me go real quick versus, this is series that I really want to know, where LeBron and the Lakers move from here on, and Anthony Davis. They got a rematch from last year, and it's the Nuggets versus the Lakers, right? Everybody wants to see this matchup. Everybody's just curious, like what the Lakers gonna do to the Nuggets this year. But it's pretty much gonna be the same thing. I won't be surprised if the Nuggets swept the Lakers again. But yeah, but the Nuggets look a little bit different, and so is the Lakers. But Lakers 7th seed, the Denver Nuggets, 2nd seed. So I think Denver are truly the biggest threat of the West right now, even though they're not the 1st seed. But Yeah, but I think that the Lakers are gonna make things a little bit more interesting, you know. But but I heard that the Lakers are overrated, you know. They're getting like so many, you know, free throws in the regular season. They got so many, you know, refs assist them. Because when I look at the Lakers, you know, how they play stuff, I look at the statistic and they got like a lots of free throw, you know. But most of them are just, you know, bad calls from the refs and stuff. So yeah, well, the only way the Lakers can beat the Nuggets, obviously injured, and also, you know, ref has to help them. So have to, you know, make a terrible call just, you know, even out the series. But I don't think it's gonna be a sweep again. But I won't be surprised because the Lakers has been really awful. You know, they keep playing like Darvin Ham, something like that. But LeBron James is also a problem. You know, because it's not coincidence that every team he goes to, there's always a problem. But maybe LeBron is the problem. So I do not trust the Lakers being the Nuggets. So I got the Nuggets probably in like 5 or 6 games. But yeah, if the Lakers somehow, yeah, because last year the Lakers they were in most of these games, you know. I say all 4 of these games that the Nuggets sweep them, like they were all winnable. So yeah, but I think Lakers will pretty much, you know, get maybe like 1 or 2 games there, but that series is not gonna go to 7. Right, so yeah, Lakers, I say Nuggets in 5. But if something, you know, Rick happened, then yeah, 6 at most. But it's not gonna go to game 7. I say both, you know, LA teams are gonna exit first round. And then you got the Boston Celtics versus the Heat. So yeah, the Heat surprisingly beat the Bulls. The Bulls are really terrible, honestly. So yeah, but the Celtics are super stacked and they're gonna try to get revenge on the Heat. I see so many. It's just coincidence. Like I see so many like series and years, you know, where I think the last 4 or 5 years, like the Celtics just keep facing the Heat every time in the playoff. But this time, you know, the Boston's gonna take care of the Heat. You know, last year the Heat took them, you know, game 7, but this time the Heats are Jimmy Butlerless. So I say that not much explained there, but the Celtics are super talented but they don't have the best coach. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a sweep, right? But you cannot underestimate, you know, Eric Spoelstra, you know. So I won't, and also on the other hand, you know, I won't be surprised if the Heat somehow stole game 1, even though they're injured versus Celtic, because because the Heat, they have way less talented than the Boston Celtics, but then, you know, they got like a super good coach. They can figure out, you know, like how to do the game there. So yeah, because I hope it's not a sweep, but I say the Boston and Celtics in 4. But then, you know, like there's like, I say a 30 or 40% chance that the Heat actually may still game 1 of the games, you know, versus Celtics. So Celtics in 5. And I will be surprised if it goes to game 6, right? So yeah, you can never count the Heat even though they're injured. I know that he has like injury and have other problem, and they still, you know, beat really good teams, you know, even in the regular season, right? So, and then you got the Cavs versus Orlando Magic. So I think the last few games the Cavs purposely want to lose so they can have a favorable matchup. They know that the Magics are so young and stuff. A lot of people were surprised that the Magic is playing much better than last year. They didn't even get in the play-in. They're right at they're even the 5th seed. So yeah, I know that the Cavaliers are they're pretenders, you know. I remember the Knicks like gentle sweep them, you know, the Cavaliers. Yeah, because I mean, Cavaliers have like Donovan Mitchell, you know, there's Garland and, you know, other role player. The Cavs only look good in the regular season, and then when it comes to playoff, they kind of choke, right? And they need to face, you know, like a much easier opponent like the Orlando Magic that have never been to the playoff before with this type of team. But I think the Magic, I cannot underestimate Magic. The Magic are still looking very dangerous, even if they're inexperienced. But even if the Magic beat the Cleveland Cavalier this year, they're still not going to make out the second round. Of course not, right? Whoever goes second round, they're going to straight up eliminate the Magic. So I say that the Cavalier, but I overheard that the Magic are good, even if they're inexperienced. But yeah, I think I got the Cleveland 66% chance taking series and 33% chance of the Magic. So yeah, that's a little iffy, and I'll go back. So I would say that Cleveland in 6, but if the Magic pull an upset, then it's Magic in 6. So yeah, I will have to go with the underdog here. So I will say Magic in 6. They just still like won the home games of the Cavalier, and then they're gonna win back. So series can go either way, but it's pretty close. And then you got the Bucks, without Giannis on the Kupo, and Bucks are in trouble. So I have to go really fast here because it's almost 10, and I gotta, do something right now. I gotta, end this video off quick. So Bucks versus Pacers. So the Pacers owned them in the regular season, and even with Giannis, I feel like the Bucks are still struggling against Pacers, and I expect the Bucks and Celtics to meet in the conference final, but it's not gonna happen. The Bucks are gonna get eliminated early. This team is too fraud. Damian Lillard problem. This is what happens when your defense falls off a lot. Giving up all your defense asset like Drew Holiday and all that stuff. So I do not trust the Bucks, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers just sweep the Bucks because the Bucks are technically injured, and even with Giannis, the Pacers still would have beat the Bucks. So I say Pacers in 4 or 5, but yeah, I will probably give them in 5. Because the Pacers plays like no defense. Well, they're giving up over 120 points per game as an opponent. So it wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks pushes the 6-game series, just because the Pacer has a defense issue. So that's Tyler Halliburton and all stuff. The Pacers look decent, but if they play a better defense, then maybe I give them 4 games for sure. But defense issues. So on top of that, Damian Lillard will make some clutch shots, something like that. So yeah, Pacer will take over the Bucks for sure. And then you got the Knicks versus 76er. The 76er has injured. I told you that a lot of East are injured, Heat injured, 76er injured, and Knicks has like Jalen Brunson. So this series is like a 50-50, and I'm not sure who's going to take over the series. So I don't know who to pick, but if I will have to choose, I still don't know because it's a 50-50. Some series are 50-50 and some are obvious, right? So the obvious one will definitely will make the series a lot shorter, no game 7. And some series that are like 50-50, that will go to game 7. So if I will have to choose, I will have to choose the Knicks because it just depends on Joel Embiid. If Joel Embiid is healthy and if he's like almost 100%, then the 76er might overcome the Knicks. So yeah, I have to end the video here, and bye-bye.